And today I will give you 8 tips for Orianna, the Lady of Clockwork. So without further ado, let's get started. I am playing Orianna since Season 2. I mained her in Season 2, 3 and 4 and started to play her again pre-Season 6. I have around 80k mastery points on her, but it doesn't count in my countless numbers of games I had with her pre the mastery system. I divided the tips into 2 sections. Tips 1 to 5 are for beginners and tips 6 to 8 are for more experienced or advanced Orianna players. Starting with number 1, Orianna's spells. Starting with her passive. Orianna's basic attacks deal bonus magic damage. Consecutive attacks against the same target, that's the important part here, within 4 seconds applies a stack of Clockwork Winding, which increases the damage of her auto attack by a maximum of 40% against the same target. The moment you switch target, the previous target will lose all the stacks of Clockwork Winding. Her Q is the axis of her kit. Orianna commands her ball, called the ball, to a certain area, dealing magic damage. Her W is called Command Dissonance, which does AoE damage on the ball's location, and that's very important, it's on the ball's location, not on Orianna. This AoE increases allies' movement speed if they walk over it, and slows all enemies who walk over it. Her E is also very important. Its passive gives the champion who has the ball on it bonus armor and magic resistance. If activated, the ball shields Orianna or an ally champion. But keep in mind, if the ball is not on you, it first has to travel to you in order to shield you. Last but not least, her ultimate, Command Shockwave. Just like her W, if activated, it unleashes a shockwave with a 0.75 second delay, regardless of the distance to the ball, which deals magic damage and flings them towards or over the ball. Again, the ball is the center of her kit. Let's move on to tip number 2, item builds. Because this isn't supposed to be a guide, I'll keep it very short. With the upcoming mid-season update, AP items got reworked, removed or changed. This will affect Orianna's build path quite heavily. Before, it was necessary to build Athene's Unholy Grail, Rabadon's Death Cap, etc. This will change with 6.9. With 6.9, Orianna will buy Moranonomicon, which also has the Lost Chapter, which is really good, into Rod of Ages or Hextech GLP 800, depending on your playstyle. Then you will build into Abyssal Scepter or Sonia's, depending on your matchup. The rest will be around the same, like Rabadon's, Void Staff, etc. Tip number 3. This one is a community request by Latasam, who's also a member of my EU West Orianna club called the Ladies of Clockwork. He wanted to know when to use which summoners. I think Barrier and Heal are the most effective summoners on her. Why? Because in combination with her shield, she can negate a lot of damage. For me though, Barrier has been the go-to summoner. It's just very good in combination with her shield. As for Ignite, I do not recommend it at all. It's a very aggressive summoner and forces you into situations you usually shouldn't find yourself in. Orianna isn't LeBlanc who can combo you, be in range for Ignite and go back to her W. As for Teleport, I'd only recommend it in a team which is dependent on a TP mid laner. Let's move on to tip number 4. I'll give you some tips you should use when starting to play and or learn Orianna. You should skill your shield first in every matchup. It gives you the needed resistances and gives you a shield for medium mana cost in level 1 trades. Do not use your QW combo too often in early levels, or just don't do it at all until you get at least the Chalice in 6.8 right now. Try to play conservative on lane if you're trying her out for the first time. She can be very vulnerable to ganks if you do not know how to escape them though. A challenger player once said, I can't remember who it was, if you do die to a gank as Orianna, it's 99% your fault. And he's right. Past level 6 and with the correct summoners, it's nearly impossible to kill Orianna. Of course you have to use Flash. Then you can pick up Orianna's ball by simply walking over it and put your shield self-cast on quick cast. That can save you a life so many times. Let's move on to tip number 5, Orianna's ball management. First of all, before you didn't skill her Q, the ball has virtually no movement. Be aware of that. Secondly, if the ball is, let's say, in the middle of your lane, you can call it back in 3 different ways. 1. Going out of the max range of a Q, it's the cycle, or circle, whatever. Second, calling it back with your shield on yourself, or throwing your Q beneath you, or under you, and you can just walk over it. Furthermore, her E does damage, well, sort of. If you Q into a minion wave and you call back the ball with your shield, it deals damage to all the targets who are in the way from you and the ball's initial position. Basically the damage, which I said was E, it's the damage of the Q because the ball is traveling. The ball does damage every time it's in movement. Next thing, I recommend not putting your ball onto someone you do not trust. In solo Q or dynamic Q, whatever, you can never trust your teammates in that regard. You'll never know if a Malphite will flash all out of your Q's range. That happens a lot. Let's move on to number 6 and the more advanced tips. Her matchups. I personally think Orianna is one of the most balanced champions in the league, even if this isn't reflected on her win rate, on Champion GG or LoL King, whatever. Anyhow, she has some struggle against high burst and mobility champions like Zed, Ahri and Anivia. But don't get me wrong, with enough training you can handle them pretty easily. The only matchup that is and will be very hard is a very good LeBlanc player. Her early traits can be negated by your shield, and you'll lose a lot of mana if you try to counter the aggression, which forces you back, etc, etc, etc. LeBlanc is just ugh. Tip number 7, Orianna's combos. I'll give you 3 of them. Based on the fact that you play Thunderlords on Orianna, one very powerful combo is her auto attack into Q into E. It does a decent amount of damage, it doesn't cost too much mana, and saves you against counter poke, and also applies the proc of Thunderlords. Great, right? The second combo would be a very mana heavy combo. The Q into W into E. This also procs Thunderlords, costs more mana, but does more damage than combo number 1. Keep in mind, with both combos, the ball has to land slightly behind your target in order to proc the damage when you call back your ball. And for number 3, a very deadly combo is QRW. With the QR, you make sure that the target is in the range of your W. With 2-3 items, a perfect combo and a Thunderlords proc, you can easily one-shot an ADC. See? Who needs Ignite? Tip number 8. How to act in teamfights. Generally speaking, Orianna is no assassin, as you might have noticed. Her key strategy is supposed to be a supportish mid laner, just like Lulu is. Trying to manage a good periodic damage and good ultimate in combination with saving teammates, especially your ADC, can be tough and a lot to learn. It's a huge learning process. But if you manage it and if you learn it by time, you're a very deadly force on the map. A deadly force, I'm sorry. Next off, keep in mind that Orianna has no ability to escape easily. Sure, the W gives her movement speed and her ultimate can, if placed correctly, increase the distance between you and your enemies, but if an enemy champion comes close to you, you can have problems. Therefore, your positioning is another key point in teamfights. Last but not least, Orianna has a very strong engage and disengage with her ultimate. Use it wisely and try to zone your enemies with the sheer presence of your ball. It's a threat you should never ignore, just like Orianna is, has been and will be. So that's it for me. I tried to keep it very short. I hope this is okay. And I also tried to make it very informative. If you have any further questions, put them down in the comment section below. I'll answer you as soon as possible. I also would like to hear from you what you'd like to see next. It can be a funny video, another tips for this champion or whatever. I like to hear your ideas. As for now, a prediction video for MSI is planned, at least for the finals. It's been Fanek. Bye!